So here's our agenda with you. We'll talk about Artefact very briefly and then present two very concrete use cases that we've worked on, particularly in collaboration with Microsoft. So first of all, Artefact is truly a consulting specialist in everything related to data. We are the European leaders. We really work on all aspects of data, from defining AI strategy to the foundational elements needed to implement everything, so data platforms, data governance, and data quality. We have both consulting teams and technical teams, data analysts, data scientists, data engineers, so we can also execute use cases, including other examples you'll see in a moment. And we organize vertically, so we also have specialists in different industries. As for me, I work in retail, and Lohan works a bit everywhere. So we're going to present two use cases. The first one is called Lumina, which was carried out for The Guardian in the retail sector. And then we'll talk about Gaia. So I'll jump right into the Lumina project. So for those who don't know, The Guardian works in retail. It's a company that actually operates the stores you find in airports and train stations, so duty-free shops, relays, sometimes different brands, and also the food service side. As you can imagine, to generate revenue, they need to respond to a lot of tenders from airports, train stations, and so on. So that's the key point. So their ability to respond to as many tenders as possible and to respond well is really the key to their business. So we thought about it together. In fact, we did an exercise on defining an AI strategy. And one of the key elements that came up was this whole process of responding to tenders. Was there something that could be done with AI? And in the end, yes, there really is something that can be done with AI. So what we did was build a solution that allows them to do two things. When they receive a tender, they can analyze it, summarize it, and query the document. So that's the first part, which saves a lot of people quite a bit of time. And then by relying on their previous responses, because as you can imagine, they often repeat the same things quite a lot, they can query their past answers to generate new content. Why was this also important in terms of business impact? Why was it important to keep it? Each call for tenders involves about 10 people, the business development team, marketing, RSO, and finance working on it. That's the first thing. And secondly, they also pay external consulting firms to help generate content, not just nice visuals, but also storylines and other elements. That ends up being very, very expensive. So our web had two objectives. First, to help them reduce what they pay consultants, and second, to save time for their teams. And the second objective was achieved. There were significant reductions in the cost of generating calls for tenders, and we saved between 30 and 40% of the time for the people working on these tenders. So in terms of use case, when we did the MVP over 6 weeks, the use case was so clear that it was almost like, let's go, let's industrialize. So now I'm going to show you what it looks like. So this is the first thing people see when they arrive. The first thing they'll do is create a project for their team. Sometimes there are calls for tenders that are confidential. This information must not get out everywhere. So first, they'll set up their project. They'll enter the name, the country. They'll specify whether it's for duty-free, catering, and so on. And they'll also add the people who will be working on the project. So that's really the first part. And from there, everyone has access and they can start working. So they'll upload the RFP they've received. They'll bring that into the tool. And now there are a lot of different things to do. The first thing, the exercise they do right away, is to create a summary, a storyline, a synthesis. And so we've optimized and fully automated that. So we've decided which information is relevant to include in this summary. And that goes very, very quickly. So there you go, the document is ready to go. They select RFP analysis. They choose the filter if they need it, because in this case, there's just one document in this demo, but there could be many. And here is the first summary that comes in, providing all the relevant information so they can share it with the rest of the team to say, here, we've received this RFP, here's a summary, we can start working. Sometimes we realize that some information was missing, and when someone reads through the details, they can also edit, update the information, or copy the information. So there's still a really important issue, which is, can we really trust this AI to actually give us the right information and not just make things up? So we worked a lot to avoid hallucinations, but we also put in place features like this that allow them to check very precisely, did the solution really find this information exactly what it says it did? we're going to show you that. So as you see, in 12 seconds, you'll see the PDF display. You can click on it and it shows you exactly where this information comes from. So there's no doubt. So that's the whole first part. Similarly, if you want, you can put the information into tables to then exploit in Excel very easily. Here, this is the entire sales area, type of sales area in square meters. So like that, you don't have to leave, you can keep working. And so the second feature is tender book generation. This is really where I'm now going to start working on the response. So I can either start off knowing there's a document I'd like to draw inspiration from, or I can go a bit broader and say, yeah, I'd like to make a slide, how to create a sense of place. That's something they do. And we start to get the content. Apparently, you can find out where this information comes from. Similarly, they can say a bit shorter, more quickly, and so on. All of this is available in multiple languages, especially there are 5 main languages. So they can query documents in English by asking questions in Italian. They can query documents in French and request the information in German and so on. There was just a side benefit to all this, which is that for the first time, they actually started bringing all this information into the tool. Well, they actually started building a somewhat centralized database of their answers, which until now had been scattered across emails and drives. And now it's much easier to find the information. So that's, and then to add a bit about the technology behind it, it's on Azure. It's using GPT-4o as the LLM. And for the front end, we use Streamlit during the pilot phase. Even though it's not necessarily the best solution for large-scale use, given the number of users we had, it worked perfectly well, so we decided not to spend more money.
Thank you very much. I'm going to quickly talk to you about the Gaia project, which we've been working on with Legrand since 2024. It's a project that started as a POC and is currently being industrialized. The challenge behind this project is, given the depth of Legrand's catalog, with more than 100,000 active references sold across 140 countries worldwide, this requires both at the group level and at the country level, the creation and enrichment of about 20 product sheets on average per year. And unfortunately, due to a lack of resources on their side, we basically end up with product sheets in the system for which the data quality is very inconsistent. And quite often, Legrand has called on specialized agencies to fill in these product sheets. So what I suggest is that we go directly to the tool so I can show you the main strength of Gaia, which is its ability to generate this content within the product sheets. So now what I'm going to do is switch to local mode. For example, I'm going to select a product that is available in the PIM. Next, I select which data I want to use as a basis. So which data will be the input. So here I have my product and I get a summary view of the group data. Just below, I have a view of the local data, but also of the technical data. And here I'll be able to ask Gaia to generate a certain number of attributes for me. So I'm going to pick a few at random. And I'll also be able to tell it to specify the language in which I want to generate these attributes, for example, in English. So what we'll see here is on the left, the content that exists in the PIM, and on the right, the content that has been generated by the tool. So as you can see, some fields are empty on the PIM side, and we were able to generate something on the Gaia side by relying on the existing marketing data and technical data. Here in this case, I took an example that was completely empty, but potentially there could be something there, and whether something exists or not, we'll be able to generate a corresponding field. We deliberately chose not to connect it directly back to the PIM in a feedback loop in order to really keep human control and ensure that the description is indeed of good quality before it can be uploaded back into the system. And for this, from a technological standpoint, we are now using the ChatGPT 4.1 model. We just completed the upgrade, and we've seen quite a few improvements in performance, especially in handling different languages. So this is one of the use cases I'm presenting to you today, but the idea is to be able to centralize all activities related to improving product data quality within this same tool with, for example, features for data transformation and also monitoring. So there you go. Don't hesitate if you have any questions. The front end is also built with Streamlit, so it's the same solution that Elina just showed earlier. But the idea is that we'll soon be moving to a new interface. Oh, and sorry, a quick note about adoption. Adoption has been extremely positive. In 2025, we've already generated 15,000 product sheets with Gaia, and currently we are covering about 15 countries with plans to gradually expand throughout the year.